I think there are a lot of misconceptions when it comes to suppressors. And so today I'm hoping to dispel some of those. And also, I think that everyone should own a suppressor. And so we're going to talk about that today. We've got 3 different kinds of ammo, some supersonics first, and then 2 different brands of subsonic. We're going to see how they sound. Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. Cans, silencers, suppressors. They're a very misunderstood piece of equipment. And I want to kind of set the record straight a little bit in this video because I have very strong feelings toward them, and I only own one, but I've got more on the way. And my feeling these days is every gun should be suppressed. So those first rounds were all supersonic. Got a couple more supers in here, and then the rest are subs. Let's see if we can tell a difference. So the National Firearms Act from back in the 1930s made suppressors into NFA items, along with things like machine guns and short-barreled rifles. This right here has a suppressor and is a short-barreled rifle. For a long time, I owned 0 NFA items, and I think that that is a big part of the reason why the ATF, the Biden administration, the powers that be, want to keep things like this on the NFA is just to make it so that people don't want to get them. Because when you have to pay an extra $200 on top of the already expensive price of a piece of kit, and then you have to wait up to a year before you can even bring it home after you've already paid for the thing, well, that makes a lot of people just not want to go through that hassle. And I was one of those people myself for a very long time. Finally, I got my first suppressor, and I absolutely love it. It's probably my favorite firearm accessory that I own. And out of all my guns, this one might be the most fun to shoot. I really love shooting this one. But there's just something so satisfying about shooting suppressed. Whether you're running supersonic ammo or subsonic ammo, although with subsonic, that's when it really shines. So I could absolutely tell a difference between the supersonic and the subsonic rounds there. It might have been a little bit hard with the steel. That's pretty loud. So I'm going to shoot a couple just into the berm. And then we'll go back to the steel because that's how I like to shoot. That's fun. Suppressors do a number of things, but one thing that they do not do is silence your gun. Now, the original Maxim patent was for a silencer, and so technically that is what it's called. But generally these days, most people consider them to be suppressors because what they do is they suppress multiple things. They suppress recoil, they suppress sound, they suppress flash, and they do all these things very well. As far as muzzle devices go, you can have a flash hider, you can have a muzzle brake, a compensator, but really a suppressor does all of the things that those do, but it does them better. Shooting, especially subsonic ammo through this 300 blackout with the suppressor on it is, don't take this the wrong way, but it's like a toy. It is so light recoiling, and the sound is not nearly as harsh. The recoil is not as harsh. I haven't had the chance to shoot it at night, but I'm sure that it would help with the flash signature as well. Although I'm not in a combat situation most days, so flash signature hasn't been my biggest priority at this point yet. Hopefully we don't ever get to that point. As you can see, a silencer does not make anything silent. Although with subsonic 300 blackout, even with such a short can, it is pretty quiet, probably hearing safe, but there's just something very satisfying about shooting suppressed. This is the thing though. Suppressors, they're a safety device. There is absolutely no reason why these should be regulated any more than any other firearm. This gun did not somehow become more dangerous because I was able to put a stock on it or a suppressor. In fact, it became more safe. And like I said a minute ago, it does not make anything silent. Now, although with subsonic 300 blackout and a big suppressor, you can get very quiet. But suppressors also, there are multiple sound sources when you fire a semi-automatic firearm. And suppressors only deal with one of those. Now, what you have is, of course, what suppressors deal with, the hot gases expanding. That is the boom you hear, from a round going off. The powders burning, exploding, hot gases hitting cold air. That's what suppressors deal with. They slow down those hot gases and cool them off, reducing that sound signature. What they don't do is they don't do anything about this sound. So that sound of your firearm cycling, that's going to be pretty loud as it is. They also don't do anything for the supersonic crack that most ammo makes when it passes the sound barrier. Now I say most because subsonic rounds don't do that, and that is why subsonic rounds suppress so well. But I've got a suppressor coming for this gun. Actually, for all of my 5.56 guns, I've got an Otter Creek Labs Polonium K on the way. I just started the process very recently, last week in fact. And because I feel like everything should be suppressed at this point. It makes shooting this gun so much more fun and satisfying than shooting most of my other guns, and I want them all to be that way. And like I said, that's true even with supersonic ammo. And this is a very short can, not a whole lot of volume in here. The bigger the can, the more volume, the more effective your suppressor will be. But you have to weigh all the pros and cons. For this gun, I wanted something extremely short and maneuverable. This is my home defense setup. I didn't care about it being as quiet as it could possibly be. I just wanted it to be hearing safe in case I ever needed to use this indoors if I was having some kind of home break-in. Someone was coming through my door and I had to use this quicker than I would have time to grab Ear Pro, because I guarantee in the middle of the night, if someone's breaking in, I'm not going to have the time to put on ear protection. And so this suppressor was perfect for that. It's very compact, but it is hearing safe, especially with subsonic ammo. And it does exactly what I wanted it to do for this gun. It's also a very low back pressure can. I don't notice any extra gas back to the face, which is something that you're gonna have to deal with a lot of suppressors. Traditional baffle designs, they do increase the back pressure of your system. And so more gas comes back into your system. It dirties up the internals of your firearm more and more quickly. And you have gas coming out of the ejection port and also out of the back hole here where your charging handle is. And there are a lot of new cans on the market that are specifically flow-through cans, reduced back pressure cans. That is a big thing these days. And this can itself has no added gas that I've noticed whatsoever, which makes it really enjoyable to shoot. Now, the OCL Polonium K is what I'm getting on this one. And that again is another short can. I don't expect it to be the quietest thing in the world. Although through the research that I've done, it sounds like it will be a relatively quiet can, especially for its size. But remember again, it's going to be suppressing 5.56. 5.56 is naturally supersonic. So it's still going to be loud. Now, I haven't started the process on this one yet, but a Yankee Hill Machine R9 for the 9mm PCC here. Because like I said in the beginning of the video, at this point, I feel like every gun should be suppressed. Now, you can get, one can to rule them all kind of thing, and the YHM R9 would have been a good one for that. In fact, I could have gotten a 30 cal can like this and still used it on my 5.56 guns with the correct adapter. But I specifically got this can to live on this gun. That's why it's the color that it is even. But my 5.56 can, I have a QD pinned and welded on here, a silencer coat ASR muzzle device, a 3-prong flash hider to be exact. And so I'm just going to put silencer coat ASR muzzle devices on this and my 16-inch rifle as well. And I'll be able to use that one suppressor on all 3 of those guns. And then with the Yankee Hill R9, I might just direct thread that and leave it on the PCC as well, because I don't really see myself using it on handguns so much, although I do have a threaded barrel on the dagger, so I'm sure at some point we will be trying that. Now, this is my big gripe with the ATF and the NFA and the bullshit that we have to go through to get these items. You should not have to wait months and months and months, or even more than a year, just to make your gun a little bit quieter. Suppressors don't do what the movies act like they do, like in John Wick, where the 2 guys are walking along shooting at each other in a crowded area and nobody notices that there's gunfire going off. That is absolutely not true. And in fact, even with subsonic 300 blackout, I still wear ear pro. It just makes it that much nicer. Now, I could shoot it without ear protection, and I have done that. But I'm gonna be better on my own hearing. And that's kind of the whole point. There was actually at one point an act before Congress called the Hearing Protection Act. And that's exactly what suppressors are. The act aimed to take them off of the NFA, as they should be. And to me, it shows a lot of, I don't know exactly what the right word for it is, but the fact that the powers that be want to keep these things regulated, obviously, there's a few reasons for that. For one, suppressors have become very, very popular in the last few years. And when they get $200 of revenue from every single one, well, that's a lot of tax revenue. So I get that. They're greedy, of course. The other thing is I think that they just want to make people not want to get suppressors because they don't want to go through that hassle and that process. And I can understand that as well. And until you've shot with a suppressor, I can understand why maybe you wouldn't want to go through all that. But I can tell you, it is absolutely worth it, especially the day that you can, your tax stamp does finally get approved and you get to take it home and you get to go shoot it for the first time. That is a great day. Now, that's also why all guns should be suppressed, I think. And so, like I said, I'm going to start the process for this one. I'm going to start one for this one soon. And that way, I will be able to suppress all of my ARs. Technically, I could put this 30 cal can probably on my AK if I wanted to. I'm not sure that's something I really want to deal with. 14x1 left-hand threads. It's just another adapter. No big deal, really. But like I said, this can lives on this gun. What I am a little bit excited about is suppressors have gotten so popular in the last few years that I'm hoping that eventually a case will be brought in front of the Supreme Court and that they will be ruled on as being in common use and not able to be regulated under the NFA anymore, because they are absolutely in common use at this point. Most serious gun owners that I know own at least one. Most of them own multiple suppressors. And so, I'm trying to think of exactly what the numbers were, but the percentage increase in suppressor ownership year over year lately is huge. And it's in the millions, and that is absolutely common use. And so I'm hoping that eventually we can get these things taken off the NFA. In other countries like Europe, where it's very hard to get a firearm, it's easy to get a suppressor. You can literally just go buy them off the shelf. You don't have to do any kind of background check, anything like that, because what is dangerous about a suppressor? All it is a muffler for your gun. It should be the same as going and buying a freaking stock or a grip or a handguard or any other part that's not an actual firearm. You shouldn't have to deal with this process just to get an accessory that makes your gun quieter. And I think that if they were taken off the NFA, well, the cost for suppressor ownership would come down as well. First, automatically by $200, which, let's face it, $200 on top of an already expensive item is a significant barrier to entry for some people. Depending what suppressor you're buying, if you're getting a $1,400 Surefire, well, then it's $1,600. Maybe you don't care at that point. If you're getting a $500 can, like the one I'm getting for this, the OCL Polonium K, well, then it makes it $700. That is a significant increase on that. But I think that if you could buy them as easily as anything else, I think more companies might get into suppressor manufacturing, and there would be more competition, and maybe we would see lower prices. The truth is that the people that want to regulate these don't know anything about them. And for some reason that they think that they are scary and dangerous, and they're absolutely not. In fact, they're the exact opposite. They make your gun much less scary and less dangerous to your hearing and to everyone else's. And the polite thing to do is to run your gun suppressed, not just for your own ears, but for your neighbors and your friends as well. And so if you don't own a suppressor, I think that you should go out and get one. Get your first one going. Get a cheaper one like I did for my first one. This is the Whip Machine and Tool Dirty 30. And with the tax stamp, it was $500 all in. It's a $300 can. Go get one of those. See how you like it. Get a $500 can maybe, and you might even have a quieter suppressor, and you might like that more. But a lot of places will even let you put them on layaway. So you pay for the tax stamp and then pay $100 a month, and you're going to still have the thing paid off long before it's approved, unfortunately. That's the way I like to do it, and that's the way I am doing it. Not everybody can afford to just put $1,000 down all at once for something, and I totally understand that. But the more of us that get these, the more they're in common use. So when that case does go before the right court, maybe we'll finally get them unregulated off of the NFA. And then we can all get them without that weight and without that $200 tax stamp. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical. Let me know in the comments if you run suppressors, which one or ones you own and how you like them, because I'm doing a lot of research on them right now. And the more I can know, the better. And you can also help out any viewers that don't know what suppressor to look for, because they're not as easy to find information on as other gun parts, at least in my experience. From Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.